everybody, my name is Chef Lucas and welcome back to my kitchen. In today's episode I am going to show you how to make homemade pizza from scratch. And in my previous episode I showed you how to make the pizza sauce, and I will leave a link for that in the description below. So let's get to it, and I'm going to show you everything you're going to need in order to do this. Okay, now on the software side of things, we are going to need 4 cups of flour. 1 package of yeast. It can be pizza yeast, it can be any type of yeast, but 1 package of yeast, because they're all the same, it's all yeast. Then you're going to need about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about a tablespoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and a cup and a half of hot water. And it does have to be a specific temperature, which we will get into later. And then on the hardware side of things, you're obviously going to need a pizza pan, a rolling pin, a pizza cutter, a thermometer to temp out the water, and then the optional thing would be a KitchenAid mixer or some type of mixer with a dough hook. If you don't have a mixer at home, you can use your hands and knead it like the pasta dough that I did in my very first video, which I'll also leave a link to in the description below on how to knead dough. I show you how to do that. So, either way, let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so now we're going to add our sugar to our 4 cups of flour, our yeast, the whole package, teaspoon of salt, about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of olive oil, and then we're going to drop our mixer, lock it, start it, and then we're going to slowly drizzle in our cup and a half of water. Now this is at exactly 120 degrees, which should be perfect in order to make this yeast activate. If it's too cold, the yeast won't activate, and if it's too hot, it'll kill the yeast. Now, while you're doing this, you're going to want to start your oven at 500 degrees. And then you're going to want to rack on the very bottom shelf. That way your oven's nice and preheated for this pizza. And today I'm going to do a classic pepperoni pizza. Now if your dough is too dry, you can add a little bit more water. Or if it's too wet, you can add a little bit more flour. And I usually have to add more flour. It never comes out to be too wet, really. Or, sorry, too dry. Now we're going to kick this up a notch. As you can see, it's pulling away from the sides of the bowl, which is exactly what we want. Oh, a little too high there. Now this doesn't take very long. I highly recommend you get a mixer if you're going to make a lot of pizzas, because you know there's 1,000 different things you can do with a mixer, plus attachments you can buy for it. Okay, we're going to stop it. Now we're going to touch it. Now as you can see, it's really sticking to my finger quite a bit. So we're going to have to add a little bit more flour to this. Which, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to have to add a little bit of flour. I've only ever had it come out perfect on me once. So we're going to turn this back on, and we're going to add about another tablespoon of flour. And that really should do it. I never have to add too much more than that. Now we're just going to kick this up again. There we go. Let's just get this thing rocking, huh? Alright, now we're going to touch the dough. Now as you can see, I'm touching it and it's not really pulling away with my finger. So that's really what we're looking for. So let's get this stuff out of the way. And you're going to want to grab a bowl. Okay. Kick this up, get that dough off the hook, get it back into the bowl. See how that's not really sticking to my hand too much? That's exactly what you're looking for. Let's get rid of this dough hook. Throw that in the water. Detach the bowl. Get the mixer out of the way. Yeah, here we are. Now we got our bowl. Okay? Dump your dough down in there. And now you're going to form this into a ball. Now, it's got a couple dry spots because of the dough that was on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just kind of knead that in. Okay? Alright. Now, we formed it into a ball. I'm just going to take a little bit of cooking spray or just a little bit of oil, spray it over the top real fast. Then you're going to take a kitchen towel and just drape it over. Now we got to let the dough rise. So the first thing you're going to do is take a timer and set it for an hour. And remember to get your oven going at 500 degrees with a shelf on the very bottom. And in the meantime, I will see you in a little bit. Okay, so it's now been an hour, and let's see what we got. Alright, now as you can see, the dough has raised at least twice its original size. So that's a good start. If it can raise a little higher, but you don't have to let it do it, as long as it's raised some. So that's exactly what you're looking for. You can let it go another half hour or so, but it's not necessary in this case because it's already double the size. So you're just going to press that down and you're going to hear the air escape. Alright? So, now let's get this thing down on a table and let's start working with it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is throw down some flour on your table. That way it keeps it from sticking. And I also like to take my leftover flour and rub it on my rolling pin. This is a non-stick rolling pin, but I still do it anyway. And let's get the dough out and onto the table. Plop. Alright, now we're going to take a little bit more flour, dust the top, and we're going to push this thing down. Now, this is enough dough for 2 pizzas, just so you know. So, since we're only going to make 1 pizza, we're going to cut this bad boy in half. And then we're going to wrap it with saran wrap and stick it in the freezer. And this will stay in the freezer for quite a while. And you just got to pull it the day before in order to thaw. And it'll raise a little bit more still as you pull it out. But that's no big deal. Just make sure you have it wrapped well. So, again, you're going to want to make it into a disc. And then we're going to wrap it in some saran wrap. See? The flatter it is, the faster it's going to fall. And then we're just going to throw that in the freezer. Unlike the pasta dough that I did in my first episode, that will not discolor on you. So now we have this. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make it flat. Okay? Flip it over. We want this thing as flat as you can be. As soon as you can get it here. That's a little bit more flour. And now we're going to roll. Sometimes it's going to stick, that's why I got the non-stick rolling pin. So you get it one way, and then you go another. Again, one way, and then another. And you're just going to try to shape this out the best you can. And this is enough dough to make a large pizza. And if it starts to stick a little bit, you just dust a little bit more flour on there. As you see, I'm just kind of working the dough, getting it out as best I can. Now you just got to get it to cover the pan. And obviously, the thicker you leave it, the thicker crust you're going to have. Okay, so that's pretty decent. I know it doesn't look like much now. Well, wait till we get it on the pan. Now you take your pizza pan, just take a couple drips of cooking oil. Vegetable oil, corn oil, whatever. And then what I like to do is I take a paper towel and rub it to the size of the dough that you want. It's going to help keep it from sticking on this pan. Alright? And now, we're going to take that dough. Be careful getting the dough off the table here. You mainly want to use your knuckles. Okay? If you use your fingers, you're more than likely going to pop holes in your dough. So use the back of your knuckles and just kind of gently get it off the table. So I got one little spot that I'm worried about. Yeah, I didn't have enough flour. Okay, we got it up. So like I said, use your back of your knuckles. Here's your pan. Now, if it's not shaped the way you want it, we can cut it. No big deal. And if it's too small, you can always stretch it out just a hair. And you can also use your knuckles to do that by tossing your dough. Now I could really toss this in the air, but I can't really show you guys that right now because I don't have the camera pointed that way. And it'll stretch out your dough to the size you want. Now, a lot of people, you know, if you want to do like a stuffed crust pizza for the kids, you would cut the dough with your pizza cutter, and you would cut it bigger than what you want. And then what you would do is you take your cheese, and just use shredded cheese, and you just make a circle all the way around. And then you take your dough and you fold it over the cheese and pinch it. Okay? But I'm not going for a stuffed crust pizza. So we're just going to take the roller and we're going to cut to the size that I want. And you can also, it's just easier to kind of get it going, started, and then move the pan instead of the dough cutter. And remove the excess, and you can just toss that. Now it's looking a lot more like a pizza, huh? Now we're going to get our homemade pizza sauce that we made in a previous video. It'll be episode 2. And we're going to spread that out. Oh yeah. Now you can use a brush too, which I sometimes do. But it's spreading pretty nice right now, so I'm not really going to worry about it. And you're going to take that to about 1 inch to 1/2 inch away from the border. See how I'm leaving that nice little space? That way you got a decent crust to hold on to. And now, what most people don't know about the crust of the pizza, the edge crust, that's not just for you to hold on to, but it's also there to catch whatever melts, because as cheese melts, it spreads out. So it'll spread out onto the crust and then not off the pan, or not off onto the pan, I should say. So there's our sauce, our homemade sauce, and our homemade dough. Totally from scratch. Now, we're going to get our cheese and our pepperoni. Now, sometimes, well, most of the time, I will buy a stick of pepperoni and shave my own pepperoni. But the store was out, so I ended up getting some Hormel pepperoni. And whenever I do that, I always buy the really big bag, just because it's just cheaper to buy it in quantities, and it lasts forever, so you really don't have to worry about it spoiling on you. And then I can make you some homemade mozzarella cheese, but that's going to be a different episode. Right now, we're just going to do the great value shredded mozzarella cheese that you buy at Walmart. Now, please, for the love of God, never use imitation cheese. Otherwise, your pizza's going to suffer, and if your pizza suffers, you're going to suffer. If you're going to put all this work into a homemade pizza, do not buy fake cheese. No imitation cheese here. Get real mozzarella. And you're going to need about 2 cups or so of the mozzarella cheese. So you're going to start out by lightly spreading it out from the middle. Notice how I dropped it in the middle first and then I spread it to the outside. Okay? Now that the middle's kind of taken care of, you're going to start on the outside and work your way in. Okay? It doesn't take a ton of cheese, but if you like cheese like me and my son do, you're going to want a lot of cheese on here. Now, I got the middle fairly taken care of. Now, I'll just take my hand, spread it out. Now, like I said earlier, as the cheese melts, it's going to spread out. So you don't have to worry about it too much. But like I said, we like a lot of cheese. So see, that's perfect. You see that? How I left there's a border of crust, the border of sauce, and then like a border almost for the cheese. Because that, like I said, as that cheese melts, it's going to spread out on you. Now we take our pepperoni. I really wish the store would have had the sticks of pepperoni that I wanted. But what are you going to do? This is still okay pepperoni. I like the Hormel just because when it cooks, it's not as greasy as other pepperoni. Because when pepperoni cooks, grease comes out. So you're going to start on the outside. Now you can shingle this, like you know, this. Or you can spread it out. I like to just spread it out because if you shingle it, there's a good chance that when you slice the pizza, the pepperonis are going to just kind of fall apart and move around and stuff. So we're just going to do side by side all the way around. Because if you're going to take the time to make a homemade pizza, do it right, man. Have a lot of meat too. I'm sorry, but I'm no vegan here. I like to eat meat. I hope you guys don't take that out of context. So by now your oven should be at, whoa, look at the size of that pepperoni. That's one piece and it's like a 1/4 inch thick. I'm eating that. Now, by now, your oven should be at 500 degrees and you should have a rack on the bottom. So we got our pizza ready. Dough's made. Sauce is made. Bought the cheese, bought the pepperoni. But like I said, you can shave your own if you got a slicer at home. Which I do have a slicer. And you guys will see that in another episode. But here's our homemade pizza. 500 degrees, bottom oven. And you're this is about 13 to 15 minutes because ovens vary. So I start at 13 minutes and then check it. And of course, a little longer if you want a crispy crust, a little shorter if you want, you know, something softer. So, you know what, let's do 14, because 14 usually works in my oven. So 14 minutes, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so it's been 14 minutes. Let's get the pizza out of the oven. And that's your end result. Ooh, you can even hear it bubble. Now that is a sexy pizza. Well, let's zoom in on that just there, huh? Oh yeah, that looks good. Now, this is exactly how I like it. Nice and crispy crust all the way around the edge. And notice how on some of the crust here, the cheese melted out and kind of covered partially, especially over here in this area. So that's what I meant by leaving the kind of layers of the crust, the half inch of crust, and then the half inch of sauce, and then the pizza, because it just melted out. So that is a pepperoni pizza that you made yourself. Doesn't that look sexy? Doesn't that look delicious? So there we have it. Homemade pizza that you made yourself. No preservatives whatsoever. Not frozen, nothing. Sure, it takes more time, but you know what? That end result is so much better than anything you buy at the store or anything you can order. So, that's homemade pizza. And of course, with pizza, the ideas are limitless. Like, literally. Sometimes I make a taco pizza, make some taco meat, and for the sauce, I still use pizza sauce, but you can use taco sauce, you can use salsa, you can use free-fried beans, or you can make a chicken bacon ranch and use ranch dressing for your sauce. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I make a buffalo chicken pizza, and which I've made with like chicken breast or chicken nuggets or whatever. I've done everything. So, that's it. Classic pizza. I chose pepperoni just because it was easy today. So, thank you for joining me. And I hope I gave you guys some cooking tips that you can relate to and use. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to pound that subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, please chop that subscribe button. But as always, show me some love, show me some hate, but show me something. Either way, I'll see you on the flip side. Peace out, and happy cooking, people. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, because I know I did. The next one will be, who knows? Let's keep it a mystery.